All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you for joining us today at the Shark Tank for this round 8 match of the 2026 AWL Championship, Cronulla Sharks versus West Magpies. If you're joining us for the first time this series, it's Nick Watkins and Lulu Gaither on the mic, and we've just had the team announcements as the players take the pool for a last little chat, kicking off the game. West Magpies sporting a very, very strong team today. Number 1, John Hedges. 2, Tom McJanet. 3, Drew Janet. We've got big Canadian Bakari at number 4. Power 5. Jared Gilchrist 6. Matt Burns at 9. Lewis Part 10. Tim Part 11. Angus Lambie 13. McInnes 14. Young at 16. And Rowe at 20. And for the Cronulla Sharks, number 1, Hayden Moller. Number 2, Ethan Payne. Number 4, Rory McKell. 6, Danny Kerr. 7, younger brother of Jared, Kobe Gilchrist. 8, and captain Reece Holden. 9, Max Churchyard. 11, Chaz Poot. 12, Rex Palazzi. Number 15 is Rade Joksimovic. 16, Stefan Brankovic. 17, Tyler Padua. 18, Jax Martin. And 20, Cole Phillips. Lulu, very different conditions to what we had to face yesterday in the sweltering heat. It was hot and muggy this morning, but the breeze has come through with a bit of rain. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. It was a fun third game of the weekend to watch yesterday. Cronulla Sharks took a win over Hunter. They're back. That was yesterday evening, so they're back here for another game early in the day on Sunday. 4th game of the weekend, so we'll see if they're able to keep up the energy that they showed yesterday against this really strong Magpie team. I'm excited to see what they have in store for us. It's pretty stormy out today. They look ready to go. What do you think, Nick?
I think it's going to be a big ask for the Sharks teams today. This West cohort have got more Olympians than a Greek mythology and some pretty experienced international support with Bakari, the Canadian international. West have managed to pick up the 2 Putt brothers from WA as well as half of Sydney Uni's former National League team this season, rounding out what was already a completely stacked lineup. And Cronulla were looking a little bit undisciplined, a little bit sluggish yesterday's match against Hunter, where there was 2 red cards against the Hurricanes. So Coach Vedran Srkovic will be hoping that his boys get the basics right today, keeping an eye out for those offensive turnovers and midfield kickouts. We've got different referees, Liam Island, Nick Hodges, both pretty experienced National League refs, and they'll be looking to call too much hanky-panky midfield.
Yeah, luckily the Sharks didn't lose a player yesterday due to the red cards. The Hunter Hurricanes lost 2 players to red cards, 1 coach. But the Sharks looking to stay calm and composed today, and we'll get this swim-off going.
And there's a swim-off won by Cronulla, Rex Palazzi, who flicks it backwards, but Matt Burns for Magpies, acting as their mascot in 10, swooping in on that loose chip and stealing the ball back. So West will have first attack here at Southern Leisure Centre at the Shark Tank. A very widespread mushroom as they look to feed to the Olympian Angus Lambie, but veteran keeper Hayden Molden comes out, picks his pocket, so Cronulla's pushing the counter.
Yeah, and Hayden Moller wasn't here yesterday playing in the game. They had Jax Martin playing in goal, so he's back playing today against the strong Magpie team.
That was a good showing for the Sharks early on. Rory McKell had plenty of time and space in front of goals, but unfortunately he threw it directly at big Nathan Power, and it's replicated up this other end by Bakari. So some good early shot blocking from both teams, and maybe just a little bit of impatience from both attackers looking to get on the board early. Hayden Moller moves it up the right-hand side of the pool to Reece Holden. Reece trying to meet his former Shark teammate Chaz Poot there, but pass going a little bit too high. And so Sharks are looking to make something happen with only 10 seconds left.
Chaz Poot drives to the middle, draws an exclusion. That's on number 13, Lambie, who's gonna take it out. They tried to go for a quick there, unable to make that happen, and it's a quick turnover.
Yeah, not sure what happened with young Mikel there. He tried to get it at 1-2 to Chaz Poot back at the centre, but multi-Olympian Nathan Power sitting there, and he's one of the best defenders in the world, so an easy ball for West, and this will be a dangerous challenge as he moves in. Beats the international Canadian cap player, Bakari. That's an exclusion on Rory Mikel. So for viewers joining us from home, we mentioned before just at the start of the game about how experienced and stacked the West lineup is. Every player on the field at the moment, either an Olympian, Canadian or Australian representative. Against the big spag of Cronulla players. Chaz Poot, Australian Olympian, Reece Holden, former Australian Shark, and then some young juniors in there looking to earn their stripes. We're 5 minutes 50 to go in the first quarter and it's still 0-0. And there's definitely a long game ahead of them considering they've already played 3 this weekend.
Cronulla early going into a drop, and that shot was taken from up top but off the crossbar. Hayden Mola with the ball.
Yeah, Burnsy tested his luck there. It was a nice shot off the hand, and he's pretty good when he's got a quick shot away. He scored 10 against the Sharks on Friday night. 6 of those were penalties, but you definitely can't downplay the 10. As Liam Ireland, referee, calls an offensive against Cronulla. Not quite sure what that was for. But the call's the call, and Hedges puts it straight up the middle of the pool to Drew McJanet. Offloads it to Burns. Burns will be backing himself here. Lovely bar and goal.
Far down, looks like a donut right over the head of Mola, and that brings the score to 1-0 with just under 5 minutes to play in the first quarter.
It'll be a big challenge for the Sharkies today. West Magpies have got 2 very, very strong centres at least. With big Angus Lambie and Bakari. And Nate Powers put on a bit of mud. Had inside scoop from a few of his teammates that he's smashing a box of donuts before every game, so he can have a big rumble when he wants to. Not to mention McJanet, so Sharks will have to look to see if they're playing a press and backing their centre back or playing a zone, and if they do, then they're coming up against some of the best shooters in the country, which will be a big challenge. Brankovic looks to feed to the wing for Joksimovic.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit on the women's side, just how strong the Cronulla Sharks women's side is, and there's a goal from Chaz Poot from post. And as I was saying, we were talking about that a little bit on the women's side with this Sharks team, having some of the strongest centers and center defenders in the country, and how difficult that is to defend, especially with strong outside shooters as well. And this Magpie team seems to have both, so we'll see what the Sharks can do the rest of the game.
No, make no mistake, that goal looked really easy for Chaz Poot, but he came up against fellow Australian Shark Tim Part, drove in, managed to post up, get the ball in, turn and shoot down the line. It looks like we've stopped the game a little bit as the referee's just checking some of the sunblock on Sharks American import Tyler Padua. Really, some of the Magpies feeling a little bit slippery. We've got a bit more deliberation here from stalwart manager and recently promoted assistant coach Ray Lambie. Just coming to check to see if it's SPF 30 or 50. We are playing in an outdoor pool, and while it's nowhere near as hot as yesterday, the UV count is pretty high.
Looks like they don't want 30 or 50 SPF. They just want nothing.
Yeah, not something you see very often at this level of water polo. And if you have a good game down at Queen's Wharf in the Hunter or Dawn Fraser Balmain, you get covered in boat slick and motor oil. So I guess the claim there is everyone's even, and the American a little bit too slippery for the West's liking. So we get underway. It's 1-1 apiece in this first quarter. Brankovic pressing quite heavy on big power. He's a handy player, Brankovic. Played in the US collegiate system, joining Cronulla for the first time this year. His ball makes it down to Olympian Jared Gilchrist. Back around to other Olympian Tim Part, and feeds the centre forward. With Tom McJanet earning the exclusion there against Rex Palazzi. Unlucky call for Palazzi there. They did have a zone, and McJanet turned to another defender, but easy pop post, Burns to power. And that's a goal, taking Magpies 2-1 up. It's an absolute handful at the best of times, his power, and Reece Holden weighs about as much as a third grader, so
yeah, I was going to say, not much you can do in that situation.
I think Cronulla chooses to play a really wide mushroom here for Blue with point player back pass halfway, trying to create some good space for Kadua at centre forward. It looked like he had power around his neck like a necklace, but no call by the referee. Now, Kadua tries to drive out. A nice outside shot from Gilchrist earning the 2 metre, and there wasn't much happening for the Sharks.
You'd hope to see a little bit more movement from the Sharks early on in this game. Try to give Padua some space.
Yeah, it's a disappointing pass from Kobe Gilchrist there. Padua had somehow managed to get front water with no power, and a pass from the wing would have been a 5 metre at least. It's not a goal, but pass is intercepted and now West are on the counter-attack. No centre forward just as yet. Lewis Putt will take the ball in, waiting for power to get set. Janet offloads to Putt. He backs himself from outside, bounce, crossbar down. And a lucky regather from Hayden Moller.
That's a shot from Putt, whose sister is playing on the Women's Sharks AWL team this season. She's new to the team, so we'll see her playing just after this game.
That's an exclusion power against Brekovic at centre forward. Brekovic has done well to drive to follow that ball into the wing. So Cronulla look to capitalise on this extra man. Lulu, extra man for Cronulla men's Sharks yesterday was pretty dismal to say the least. 2 red cards against Hunter Hurricanes, and I think managed to convert only 1 or 2 goals. What do you think they need to focus on today?
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing that's all they talked about in their pregame chat, is just making those 5-on-6 goals go in. I think that's what's going to help them out a ton in this game, is getting those exclusions and making the most of them. As Nick was saying, yesterday there were 2 red cards called against the Hunter Hurricanes, which meant 2 4-minute periods and an unfortunate bounce out of bounds. That's going to benefit the Sharks.
Yeah, you don't get to see a midfield falcon that often, but Tim Putt changing codes for a moment, playing soccer, trying to hand it in, and Cronulla were very fortunate there because West had a small counter-attack as Kobe Gilchrist takes it in, looking for the cross-pass to Kadua. Doesn't feel confident throwing. He's got the big long arms and the immense weight of power there to deal with. And another intercept thrown by Kobe Gilchrist, who looks at himself in disgust. He won't be happy with that. And here we go, here's the first example of another early midfield kick out against the Sharks.
Yeah, they struggled with that yesterday too, just unnecessary exclusions out of frustration.
Yes, this has been a recurring theme for the Sharks, and in fact, a lot of players in the league so far, as Cronulla have received another exclusion, Max Churchard, getting a little bit too grabby and heavy with Jared Gilchrist, so West will choose to play a 5-on-4 here as Burns wide up. And a lovely block there by Kobe Gilchrist, atoning for his previous mistake. And Burns will be disappointed with that. As mentioned earlier, he managed to slot 10 against the Sharks on Friday. And he had a lot more time that they probably wish they'll had back. But nonetheless, Cronulla pushing up in attack, still 2-1 to the Magpies.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised by this low-scoring game. Last game they played earlier this week was 40 goals total. So far, only 3. All right.
Referee Leon Island has called a goal there. It was a beautiful cross pass to Brekovic from Kobe Gilchrist. Shot off the hand down the line, hits the post, and the goal's awarded. The Cronulla be really comfortable and confident with that. It's something they weren't working on too well yesterday. A lot of drop passes. The pass is too low to support that shot immediately. And that's a good sign for the Sharks early in this round 8 match of the AWL season.
Just over 1 minute to play in the first quarter. It's all tied up at 2.
space for Jarrett Gilchrist. Angus Lambie at centre forward here. And very lucky call for Rory McKell, who was getting turned inside and out at centre back, but an exclusion from the perimeter against Danny Kerr. West will move in.
And lots of space there to move in for Gilchrist.
Yeah, that's just one too many pump fakes from Gilchrist. Hayden Moller in goal, flapping around like a wounded seagull. You can't give the man that much space. He's very experienced. He's been playing since this game was in black and white. And he scores comfortably, taking Magpies 3 goals up to 2. So there's 40 seconds left in this first quarter. Sharks ball. They'll be looking to use the full 30 if possible and hopefully go into quarter time. If not even, then 1 goal different. Very conscious of giving away a turnover and letting West stretch that to an important 2-goal game. Got a little bit of chat between the referee, Nick Hodges, and Coach Jim Reeves at the moment. Looks like number 20 for West Rose being set to the sideline. He's a little bit too slippery as well. Clearly Bannerboat getting their sponsorship worth both teams today. As Hayden Moller moves the ball up to Jock Simovic. Down deep to Danny Kerr. Danny will be looking for an early post up to Chaz Poot. He's done well as the driving second centre forward, but no thank you signal, so Danny Kerr balances back around. Back to Poot. That's a pretty heavy foul from Burns. He was lucky not to get penalised there. Centre forward, a lot of space.
And a nice pass into centre. And a shot from Tyler Padua into centre.
Lovely pass from Chaz Poot there. Looked like a bit of a spin lob. Landed directly in front of him, and new interpretation from World Aquatics says any player that has front water, referees can choose to play on, but they can call it back for a penalty, which is happening here. As Jock Simovic lines up against Hedges and throws it through.
And some great movement on the other side. As you could tell, the goalie Hedges was way outside the goal defending center, but because of the movement on the other side, he was forced to help out on that weak side and let that pass into Padua.
That's Jock Simovic's 7th goal in the last 2 days. He's a handy asset for the Cronulla Sharks. And, while he's spotting a lot of goals, he's really quite an intelligent player as he drops off Lambie a little bit there to avoid the exclusion. Pretty disappointed with his teammates. He was calling his own and didn't get the help he needed. And it's pretty hard to give big Angus Lambie that much space. Paris Olympian, multinational league ring winner for the West Magpies, and most importantly, former Cronulla Shark Junior, coached by one of the club's greats when he was 12, which may or may not have been me. And, he clearly learned all he could and then went for some better tutorage under Adrian Yanitsis as the ball moves up to Cronulla. 4 seconds left, Danny Kerr winds up, throws it, Hedges manages to knock it down, and that'll take us to quarter time. Sharks with a 1-goal lead, 4-3, round 8.
And that'll bring us to the end of the quarter. We'll be back for quarter 2.
Welcome back to the Shark Tank here at Southern Aquatic Centre. We're just about to get underway with the second quarter of round 8. Cronulla Sharks home match against West Magpies. We've had an interesting first quarter. Relatively low scoring considering the match these teams played earlier in the week, where it was 40 goals total on the scorecard, with West walking away with a relatively comfortable lead. But first quarter, almost even Steven. We've had one player from each team sent to the sideline to wipe off some of the baby oil or sunblock that they've got on their shoulders. And relatively even foul count both teams. If you're just joining us today, Nick Watkins on the mic, joined by Lulu Gaither. We might have a special guest here later on. Standing in the flush commentary position, surrounded by a kids' playground, using our iPhone 3 and no microphone, so we hope you can see us okay. And if you don't want to listen, there's a nice big mute button in the top right corner. Lulu, what's the focus for the West team starting off second quarter today?
Well, you caught me as I'm finishing up a cookie your wife made me. But I think honestly for both teams, I feel like a lot more movement on offense is going to do them some favors. The Magpies have done a great job of drawing exclusions. They had 4 in the last quarter. I assume they'll keep that up, keep the drives going. They've also had a lot of opportunities in center, as they do have some really great, strong centers in there. So they'll try to work it in there, draw some exclusions, take some shots.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how long the legs of the Cronulla Sharks last here. They are coming up against a formidable team, as the Canadian international Bakari offloads it to Olympian Jared Gilchrist, who passes it back to Australian Shark Drew McJanet. But here we go, we've seen a small kick out in transition, McJanet being sent to the naughty corner. This is something that's been coming into play in every game we've commentated on, Lulu, these easy exclusions during transition from defenders getting a little bit lazy, caught with hands down.
And a nice little pass into the post. That's a really hard redirect to grab. They're almost parallel to each other.
Yeah, it was a good pass from Chaz Boot. An interesting decision. Suggests that maybe they're not backing themselves to shoot through the big wall as an offensive given against Angus Lambie, against Rex Palazzi. Rex is about 260 kilos lighter than Angus. He's obviously done pretty well to get in good body position, and Angus pretty filthy with the decision. So Cronulla Sharks will have 6 on 5 here if they look to take it. Palazzi moves into about the 5. But Hedges manages to get 2 hands and it'll go to the corner. It's nice to see young Palazzi pushing himself there, earned the turnover, backs himself to the shot. While it didn't go in, it's confidence that these young players need. The ball moves out to Jock Simovic. Great pitch, back to halfway. And an exclusion against Putt.
And what a block there.
Chaz Poot takes it in, has a shot. Hedges manages to pull down, regathered by Cronulla's Rory McKell, but then stolen by Bakari.
And Olympian Chaz Poot had a lot of time, a lot of room there to shoot. And they've had a couple of those quicks that just haven't been working out for the Cronulla Sharks.
Yeah, you'd expect Chaz to slot that. He scored a few nice goals yesterday from out top, and he's pretty dangerous with the ball, but looked like he was trying to throw it straight over Hedges' head. And no luck given. We've got an exclusion here, Rory McKell, so that'll be his second for the game. A little bit too heavy at centre back on the drive there. As the ball moves deep wing to Bakari. Bakari offsets to the left. From the looks of things, looking on Burns on the cross pass. Back out to Putt, who's a long way out. He won't be shooting, but this will be Burns that winds up here. And well read by Chaz Poot to intercept the pass. Intended for Angus Lambie. Burns will be disappointed with that. Spent a lot of time playing with Gus. And the pass he wanted to take back, but now pushing up the field now. Ball still stuck at goals with Hayden Moller looking for a release. Moves it up to Rex Palazzi, deep into Jock Simovic. He bobbles the ball. Possibly an example of that sunblock we spoke about earlier. And he's backing himself to turn.
Nice pass. A pass right there into a wide open Tyler Padua, who takes that shot, skips it right under Hedges' arms.
Yeah, that's an interesting move there. So Jock Simovic looking to turn Angus Lambie, who's about as mobile as the Queen Mary, but former Olympian Jared Gilchrist thought Gus might have been in a bit of trouble, jumped off the centre forward, which is child's play and an interesting decision from the veteran. And Jock Simovic able to throw that good heads-up awareness play. Padua slotting it under Hedges' arms, and it brings us back to 4-all. between Cole Phillips in matching up against Angus Lambie here. Angus is holding a really good position, but Phillips looking to cruise around as Kobe Gilchrist crashes back. And Bakari winds up for a lob, but the second goalkeeper for Cronulla, the crossbar, manages to pull it down. The Sharks are pushing hard on the counter here. A bit of a counter-attack if they are aware of it. Long cross pass to Padua, brilliant position. Bakari manages to crash back in time, and 15 seconds left. Sharks will be looking to resettle, waiting for a new centre forward.
Tyler Padua getting into centre forward. He's done a great job today of getting position. And unfortunately, that's another offensive called in today's game.
Yeah, that one was going against Reece Holden there. Nick Hodges saying that he was hooking over and pulling past Tim Putt on the perimeter, which is disappointing because Padua was holding a really good position. I've been very impressed with this young American. He's coming up against some of the biggest bodies in this competition, and the likes of Nate Power and Angus Lambie, some of the best players in the world, and he's really holding his own as Matt Burns sits up outside, passes back to Gus Lambie. Probably about the longest shot Gus has had to throw in about 15 years, normally sitting at 2 metres. And possibly the distance too much for him as Cronulla manages to regather possession with another substitute being called, which has to come back on the field. So Cronulla really capitalising on these flying subs up the side of the ball.
There's another slip on the ball. It's that sunscreen again. And once again, we see an offensive on the Sharks. Did you see where that one was coming from, Nick?
Yeah, that was against number 9, Max Churchard, driving on Jared Gilchrist there. Churchard, smaller player, quite nimble, always looks to try and get inside, but in doing so against some of these bigger boys who know how to position their bodies well, gets caught a little bit, and the offensive is given as Gilchrist fouled outside by Churchard. Putt sitting up to Bourke. Throws a nice pass to Burns, who had driven across behind the centre. And an interesting reverse cross-cage backhand spin lob. That missed by a good couple of metres, so Cronulla pushing up in attack. They do have another advantage here. Coach Brent Serkovic calling them to leverage it. Yet another drop by Gilchrist there, so that sunblock obviously playing a new ball in soon. So West pushing on the counter-attack, and this has been an exhausting couple of minutes for both teams.
Absolutely. It looks like Tyler Padua has been going 2-2 the last couple of possessions. He'll finally get a break there up top.
Yeah,
Sharks will go into his zone here.
Padua's been moving well for a big man. He did have a couple of breaks, came back on after a nice effort there as Gilchrist tries to throw cross-body, cross-cage, but a good number of defenders there. Drew McJanet getting pushed back a little bit. It looks like he's trying to play goals for the Cronulla Sharks, then remembers what team he's on.
And somehow the Sharks are still countering. A close miss from the Sharks. And with just one goal this quarter, we're already down to just under 3 minutes to play. Only one pause in the game.
Yeah, that was a killer for Brankovic. Lovely double bar, unfortunately skipped out. And he stops to shake his head, capitalise on one of the West subs as he draws in a bit of breath. As you mentioned, Lulu, only one goal this quarter, so both teams will be looking pretty exhausted. And a lovely ball in there from Angus Lambie. As the centre forward himself, he knows where they want it. And being able to get it in means that Tom McJanet earns a very well-deserved exclusion. This time against Danny Kerr. And a good pop there to Drew McJanet, but he's dropped the ball.
And on both ends, these 6-on-5 possessions just haven't been working too well. I bet these boys are hoping for a break pretty soon here.
Yeah, both teams dropping the ball today like it's a new single, and both the coaches will be asking for a little bit more composure, a bit more control, as the opportunities are coming, and increasingly more so as both teams get tired. Max Churchard tries to force it into centre back. Bakari got his arm around Padua, giving him a nice big cuddle. Referees say play on, not rewarding that foul. Obviously the pass a little bit too far away, and defenders dropped back. So Hedges moves us up to Putt. Putt looks to see what's happening. McCannon's sitting at centre forward again. Cronulla playing a little bit of a drop, but they're not going to be able to sit too far off Bakari as he forces it in. And yet another brilliant pass, perfectly placed. McJanet earning an exclusion, Churchard. UNSW West looking to offset to the left, but Angus Lambie sitting down deep on that 4 position, looking to bring on Burns or the post here. You can see a nice lot of space for Drew McJanet on the 2 post if Burns can get it. He sits up and backs himself here.
And that goes wide.
Probably a wasted opportunity for the Sharks there, depending on how this pans out.
And a beautiful cross-cage skip for Joksimovic. And Sharks, both teams got to be happy about that one. They haven't had a rest for 7 minutes.
Yeah, that was quite fortuitous. The Cronulla players choosing to counter-attack with Matt Burns, who's very handy from out top with his shots. Burns sending it wide off the post. But then the Cronulla bench a little bit slow getting the ball in. Joksimovic did lose his centre break, had to kick out to the left. But he's very composed and doesn't mind a shot. The talented Serbian. Skip it past Hedges under his left arm, bring us to 5-4. So this will be the first time Cronulla's taken the lead today. We've got just over a minute to go in the second quarter. I think both teams will be looking forward to a bit of a break and an opportunity to chat to their coach as we head into the second half.
Magpies looking to slow the ball down a bit. They've got some room to enter it. No one back on a drop.
This will be a good tussle at centre forward, centre back. Rory McKell, he's got arms about 9 feet long.
And Chaz Poo looks like he didn't know that there was a foul called on him. He's sent out for an exclusion. And a quick shot from the Magpies goes into the hands of Hayden Mola, who's had a great game today. Only let in 4 goals. And has kept this within a 1-score game.
Just had an offensive call on Kobe Gilchrist here. It did look like Nathan Powers was holding him under, but then managed to get both of his hands up. So referee Hodges choosing to call the offensive, I think for going underwater to gain an advantage. And now what could have been a strong Cronulla counter becomes a West. And Gilchrist throws it over once again. So a few shots from the stalwart West player going awry today. Possibly a little bit rusty.
30 seconds left to play in the first half. They're going to look to slow it down. And there's an exclusion on number 11, one of the Putt brothers.
That was well earned by Rory McKell there, coming up against
Wow, that's I mean, we don't have best angles from up here in the booth with our leather seats, but that sure did look like a goal to me.
Yeah, that's a tough one to call, and we did have this similar situation yesterday for Hunter Hurricanes. It really comes down to if you don't want to leave it in the hands of the referee, you've got to make sure it's in, and Rory McKell had a bit more time there, right in front of goals, probably could have caught it, reset it himself, buried it into the back of the net. Nonetheless, Cronulla will be pleased with the score going into half-time. It's 5-4. Just to run through some of the statistics, there is a bit of foul count on the Cronulla side. McKell on 2, Kerr on 2, Churchyard on 2, Poot on 1, Palazzi on 1, Kadura on 1, Drew McJanet for West on 1, Nathan Power on 2. Sharks will be looking to capitalise on it in the second half. If they can make Nathan Power sit out the rest of the game, they'll be pretty pleased. The same with Tim Putt. So Tim Putt 2, Angus Lambie 1. And you'll assume that Coach Cirkovic will be having a word to his boys, trying to encourage them to be a bit more mobile and start driving on these bigger West players, see if we can get them into foul trouble. If you are just joining us, we've got about 2 minutes to go in halftime break here in round 8 of the 2026 AWL competition. Cronulla Sharks versus West Magpies. I'm Nick Watkins, joined by Lulu Gaither today. Back by popular demand. We do have to make a request to our fans and loyal viewers. As mentioned yesterday, Australia Post is struggling with the amount of fan mail, chockies and flowers. They've requested everything to be redirected to Waterpolo Australia. So if you're liking what you hear, or you got us on mute and it doesn't bother you, make sure you write to Waterpolo Australia, ask for Nick and Lulu to be on the AWL finals later this year.
Absolutely.
And if you don't, that's fine. We'll forge a couple letters anyway, so we'll see what we can do.
Either way, we'll be there. And we got a few letters yesterday, a few dozen, asking for some halftime commentary, going over the rules for those people who are a bit newer to water polo or maybe just haven't been paying close attention. So let us know if you want some more of that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Cronulla Director of Finance Matthew Schweihofer is dialed in, but he can recite the rule book word for word and back to the front until he ends up in the pool and is playing himself, in which case his memory of the rules seems to go out the window. But for those of you at home, we've been making a few comments around these midfield turnovers or exclusions. What we're talking about there is during transition, World Aquatics are wanting the game to be faster paced with more goals, so it's more commercial and exciting for the fans. So referees have been instructed to penalise anyone getting a little bit too niggly and grabbly in transition, especially on defence. They want the players to get back up the other end of the pool and encourage a bit more shooting. So that's where Cronulla had a lot of foul trouble in the last few games, and we saw it early on in the first quarter, but that second quarter, Lulu, a bit more composed from both teams. There was a lot of swimming and not much else.
Yeah, it's rare to see such a low-scoring game for either of these teams. Like I talked about earlier, the last time these two teams played each other a couple of days ago, the goal total was 40 goals. And that's something you don't see every day. And this is quite the opposite, just 5-4. We'll see if in the second half they pick it up, make it less of a swim meet.
So we spoke before at the start of the second quarter that both teams are going to look to be a bit more mobile. Do you think that that's changed much coming into this second half, or much less the same?
I sure hope so. I mean, I think at least when I play, I think sometimes the first half can be a bit slower. You get a little break after the halftime, and you come back with some more energy. So maybe we'll see some more movement on both ends and some executed 6-on-5s. And off we go. I think it will be a bit of a different half, though, with so many players on 2 exclusions.
So that's another swim off, one by Palazzi, but flicking the ball back a little bit short of his teammates and picked up again by Lewis Putt. Not really sure what that looks like on the stats sheet. Is it a win for Rex and then a loss for the rest of the team, or is that just a swim off one by West? As Bakari winds up for a giant backhand by Rory McKell, managing to get his Concord-sized wingspan in the way, deflecting the ball out. And it's Cronulla's ball. Cronulla does have a break here. If Reece Holden can move it down to the 2 metres quickly, Brankovic and then Chaz Poot sitting outside. But it seems to have broken down. So Reece will throw a big, long, lofty pass over to Joksimovic, looking to feed it in. And a nice ball in there. That'll be an exclusion. Number 10, Lewis Putt. So he wins the swim off. It's kicked out for his efforts. Cronulla looking to turn that into a goal as they set up for their extra man. Joksimovic winds up, manages to get blocked. I think that might have been Bakari in the middle. So Cronulla will get another 18 seconds here, though it is even. As Holden tries his luck against his former team, Hedges managing to tip it over the cage. So get another Cronulla attack. And Palazzi looking to move in. Tries to flow it over the top to Rory McKell, but doesn't put enough mustard on it. And it's picked off easily by Hedges.
Magpies working it down the pool. Chaz Poot drop back on Power, who sits in center looking to shoot. He'll draw a foul there. Ref's got his arm up, he's free to shoot, passes it off, and that's a skip shot that goes wide by Gilchrist.
Burns did really well there to move in, draw Chaz Poot out. Poot was having to play a zone with Power at centre forward. Burns earned the foul. You'd think he'd shoot 10 out of 10 times, but he offloads it to Gilchrist. Gilchrist just throwing it wide. Probably the 4th time today, and I wonder if his coach Tim Reeves is asking him to holster his rifle for the next bit. Ball goes over to Joksimovic. Bakari manages to get front water on McKell, and an offensive is called for holding. A little bit of splashing in the black play. Brankovic on Gilchrist. Referee Liam Island says, carry on boys. The rest, West move it up. Bakari out top, almost on halfway. He's a long way out. He'll be looking to get the ball and move that drop player off Nate Power or to back himself with a shot.
And what a block by Hayden Mola. He's had some great ones today. once again has only let 4 goals in this whole game, and another offensive goal on the Sharks. So it'll be Magpies ball once again. They'll have another 30.
Yeah, that's a lot of size and experience from Nate Power there, getting in the table with Joksimovic looking to counter and possibly get in his way, earn a midfield kick out, but referee Nick Hodges sees it differently and calls it offensive. So West are able to set up with really good position and a lot of time on the clock. 15 seconds to go as Gilchrist looking to feed to the centre. Long cross pass to Rowe. Coming from the US collegiate system, that throws it straight over the top. As Rory McKell brings himself aside for a bit of a breather. Tyler Perdue, the big Shark centre forward, will insert himself into the game.
Just over 10 seconds to go in this quarter. Chaz Boo gets the ball and gets an exclusion on that Australian playing in America right now. That's Rowe.
Yeah, it was well earned there, and we've seen Chaz Boo do that a number of times this weekend. Successfully drive in from the wing, play that second centre forward posting up, and to do a nice awareness to be able to feed it in. Rowe getting caught directly behind, and he's going to be sent to the bin every time. So, Lulu, this is the 3rd time out off the back of an extra man we've seen from the Sharks in the last 2 days. Both of yesterday's efforts left a lot begging. The first one, 2 long passes, dropped the ball and no shot, and the second didn't look like the set play came off. What would you be saying if you were the coach at this point in time?
I mean, once again, I think they've talked about this before. I hope the Sharks are able to get in there and make something happen. Maybe take a little bit more time and not rush the shot on this. Hopefully get some more movement in on the posts rather than taking that quick shot.
Probably can't see it too well on the camera, but the breeze has just picked up quite considerably. What feels like a bit of a southeaster, so it's going against the Sharks players at the moment, which will probably challenge those long outside shots as Danny Kerr manages to get a long pass from Reece Holden and a beautiful pop to Tyler Perdue, who buries it into the back of the net. No second guessing there, no leaving it to the ref's interpretation.
And I'm guessing that's that look they were looking for yesterday. Yesterday, unfortunately, a couple times after that timeout, they just rushed that shot, had some bad passes, but in this time, crisp passes and found an open Perdue there on the post.
Yeah, the Sharks will be feeling really happy with their efforts so far. There's a few things that they can work on, but they are 2 goals up against a lot more experienced West team. Plenty of Olympians in the pool, more rings than a jeweler in the bazaar market. But the Sharks, with a couple of long experienced players and some energetic young ones, holding out pretty well, but that's a lovely long pass to Burns on a drive, and he sits up, hit from behind, and awarded 5 metre. Looks like that one's going against Phillips, the New Zealander. And Jared Gilchrist lining up against Hayden Moller. So this is an interesting call. Gilly's missed 20 or 30 shots in this game so far. And I think if he throws this one over, he might be taking himself for a bit of a breather. But good opportunity. And he says, "Shut up, Watto, you don't know what you're talking about." Lovely top corner. Brings the score back within 1. Cronulla 6, Magpies 5.
Four minutes, 30 seconds left to play in the 3rd quarter. Tyler Perdue back in center. He's been doing a great job of keeping position over there. Hopefully Sharks can get some movement, get the ball into him. He's got some space. Magpies forced to go into a drop. Chaz Boot up top with room to shoot. 13 seconds left to play, plenty of time. And once again, Sharks with an opportunity very close into the cage to put that in goal, but just unable to execute. A lot of great movement from the Sharks on offense. Now the Magpies head off on a counter attack. Power. And he'll soar that over the cage. A little pressure on his back by Tyler Perdue. And now the Sharks head off on a counter attack.
Yeah, you'll think that's a bit of retribution for the Sharks there. They were calling out and quite animated fashion. There wasn't a 5 metre or a penalty awarded in that last play. A fair bit of splashing around and what looked like holding on the baseline as Joksimovic moves in and Hedges managing to keep it off the post. So what could have been Cronulla going 2 goals up or West bringing it back to even leaves us as we were a few minutes ago. Dave Power mixing a shot that you don't see very often.
And an unlucky move there for the Magpies. Unfortunately, number 20, Rowe, was inside the 2 on that pass, so that goal will not count.
Cronulla Sharks moving pretty slowly up the pool here. Coach Becky was urging his players to get moving. Not sure if a little bit of fatigue or if they're trying to work a bit of a cheeky kick out in transition, but they've taken a while to get up there and there's only 9 seconds left to go. The ball manages to get into Padua and he holds relatively strong, but Joe Gilchrist's long arms manages to take the ball and now he's taking it straight up the middle. Nathan Power drives in the centre, up against Joksimovic. Padua forced into a drop. Billy Janet's done well there. He's moved in, taken the space. Not the ideal spot for a right-hander to be shooting, but he manages to beat Brankovic down the line, skimming it in. Not much Hayden Moller can do there when the defender's out of position. And we're back to 6, even Stevens.
And Nick, we've talked a lot about the offenses and how we haven't seen a lot of goal scoring this game, especially compared to last. What do you think that says about the defense today?
It's a really good question. I was trying to think about that at half time. My gut feel is it's been less about the defense, and I think there's just been a lot of missed and wasted opportunities. I've made a few cheeky comments that Gilly Senior has missed a fair few that he wouldn't normally. We saw Nate Power sky it before. So situations where you'd usually expect players to bury it in the back of the net hasn't eventuated anywhere. And a lot of whistles going on here with Tim Putt sitting all the way on top of Kobe Gilchrist. Putt was out of the water there, Gilchrist completely under, and Hodges has called a card here. Now he's either about to start a game of Yu-Gi-Oh or we're going to see someone sent to the sideline. It's Gilchrist in a fair bit of distress, holding his nose on the road. And referees have called for the balls. Both players have been rolled and a red card shown to both. So that's Tim Putt gone, Kobe Gilchrist gone.
That's the commentator's curse there. We talked about it before the game. Unfortunately, the Sharks have been hit with the red card, and so have the Magpies.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see this watching back on footage, and if it does go to the tribunal, we do have pretty good position from the camera here. A bit hard to tell what was going on, most of it underwater. And unfortunately, the GoPro is not set up in Sutherland Aquatic Centre today, so we're going to be blessed with 4 minutes of fast fives, the more exciting version of the traditional game, and it'll be interesting to see how the players react.
Yeah, so for those who are unaware, when there's a red card called, the team who gets the red card needs to play a man down for 4 minutes. So in this case, since both teams have a red card, they'll play 5-on-5 for the rest of this quarter and into the fourth.
It'll be a tough call about who is going to be more impacted by that card there. Tim Putt, obviously Australian player, Paris Olympian. He was already on 2 fouls going into that, I believe. And Kobe Gilchrist, uncapped in the Australian team, but definitely one of Cronulla's biggest playmakers. He can be a handful when he's moving, and you can see Putt getting a little bit tangled there. As Joksimovic lines up against Hedges. Hedges far off the line there, nothing called by Liam Ireland, but Joksimovic doesn't need it returned. So Cronulla earns their 5 metre. Jared Gilchrist will line up for the rest against Hayden Moore.
And Jax, both teams will get their 5 metre here. And scored by both teams. So that'll bring us to 7-7, 2 minutes, 20 seconds to play in this third.
If we keep that up, we might just cancel the game and play a game of 5 lives to finish off. Winner takes all.
Yeah, it's good to keep it friendly, especially towards the end. There's been some fights today.
It has been heated. We've seen a little bit of this happen over the last couple of games and across a number of different teams in the competition. 4 games back-to-back in the format for the AWL competition this year. They do only play every 2 weeks, but Sydney-based clubs are afforded to the Water Polo New South Wales Super League. So it can be up to 6 games a fortnight. Now, Cronulla veteran, multi-National League championship winning player Matthew Hankin did remind me yesterday that back in his day they always played 4 games. But the generation of today's youth, Hank, aren't as fit as you are or were. And so maybe a bit of fatigue coming in and affecting the frustrations and emotions of both teams today. As we get back underway, Hayden Moller starting out, waiting for his team to push up. It'll be an interesting adjustment to their set play here. A lot more space for the centre forwards, as both teams have been relying heavily on that drop. And Padua managing to spin around Bakari at centre back, waiting for the ball from Brankovic, but losing a lot of time there. Ball goes into Chaz Poot, who throws a very sloppy, dribbly backhand, and Hedges picks it up nice and easy. And now West have got a giant counter-attack here, Lulu, with Padua being left at back play.
Yeah, we'll see if they can profit off this counter-attack. Got their Olympian Burns with the ball and room to shoot from up top. And that's going to be blocked by Hayden Mola. 1:45 to play in the third. Tied up at 7.
Yeah, Sutherland Shire Junior, Matty Burns there, squaring off against Reece Holden, his former teammate, both in the Australian squad and the West lineup. As Reece Holden's got a nice little break here, but Cronulla a little bit slow progressing the ball, losing a little bit of structure given that they are playing 5-on-5, as Padua has a lovely turn there against Tom McJanet.
And he's been looking for that all day. Finally gets his opportunity to make that turn.
And that's a wasted opportunity from Brankovic there. Chaz Poot was looking pretty open on the wing. He probably just needed to move it back and forth with Holden. On the right-hand side of the ball to start with, draw the defence, and then Chaz Poot being open all day long, but chooses to shoot. It's knocked down easy. Cronulla can't regather. Now the ball's out top with Angus Lambie, with Nathan Power driving in the centre. Sharks will have to play a drop here, and a very average pass from Jared Gilchrist goes wide. Nick Hodges never going to reward that, so the Sharks end up pushing up again with just under a minute in this third quarter.
And keep in mind for the next 3 or so minutes, going into the fourth quarter, both these teams will be playing 5-on-5 due to the 2 red cards we saw earlier.
We've had a handy little drive from Reece Holden here against Angus Lambie.
And that opens up Tyler Padua there. Unfortunately, a bad pass.
Yeah, nice match
center.
up there is Gus Lambie and Reece Holden. Gus was Reece's bridal party at his wedding a few weeks ago, and obviously not too keen with Reece holding whilst he turns as the ball gets into Bakari. An amazing turning Brankovic up Brankovic.
I don't even know how he got through both of them now.
He's a big strong man.
2 strong Serbian players as well.
So he earns the 5, and with 23 seconds to go in this third quarter, Jared Gilchrist will line up for his third 5-metre of today. Hayden Moller looking to knock one down.
And he does.
Gilchrist having a bit of a word with referee Hodges, claiming that Chaz Poot encroached on him before he shot. Referee doesn't agree, and Cronulla will use the next 15 seconds looking to take the lead into the fourth quarter. Ball out top with Poot. Poot to Joksimovic. Joksimovic will be waiting for Padua, who's a long way out on the 5-metre. Drive coming from Chaz Poot here. He'll be looking to post up as the second centre. Ball gets in. A really good job to hold control of the ball, but he probably needed to offload it either to Holden or Padua, but the clock doesn't allow it. And we go into the fourth quarter, 7 apiece. Righty, for our loyal viewers and die-hard fans, Nick Watkins just going to run through the player stats as we've got just over a minute to go in this three-quarter time break. Both teams in a little bit of foul trouble as we come into the fourth quarter. Rory McKell on 2, Danny Kerr on 2, Kobe Gilchrist red carded for the match. Max Churchard on 2, Chaz Put on 1, Rex Palazzi on 1, Joksimovic 1, Padua 1, and Phillips 1. And for West, Drew McJanet 2, Nath Power 2, Lewis Park 1, Tim Part red carded for the game along with Gilchrist, Lambie on 1, and Rowe on 1. And a pretty low scoring game in comparison to when these teams met each other on Friday night. There was 40 points in that match, only 14 so far. With 1 going to Poot, 3 to Joksimovic, 1 to Brankovic, 2 to Padua for the Sharks. And for the Sharks, Drew McJanet has 1, Nath Power has 1, Jared Gilchrist has 3, Matty Burns 1, and Angus Lambie has 1. Fair bit of energy from the Sharks, who are pretty motivated coming into this fourth quarter. They'll be happy that it's nice and close and definitely seize the opportunity in front of them. We're just waiting for the centre ball float to be released from the highly technical 2 kilo dumbbell that it's tethered to. And then a friendly reminder that we do actually need a ball to play. So referee Liam Ireland throws it in for Hayden Moller, who makes the very long swim for a goalie.
As long as he swam all season.
All 12.5 metres out to the middle. We might have to send an inflatable rescue boat out to get him. But when he's back, we'll get this match underway.
Nick, what are you hoping to see in this last quarter?
From Cronulla's perspective, I want to see them driving more, especially against Power and McJanet. They're 2 of their better players and they're extremely dangerous in centre forward. So if you can get a nice match-up with maybe Palazzi or Holden, get moving on those larger men, get them caught with their hands down, then that'll do wonders for Cronulla. And I think for West, they've been playing okay. It's just haven't really been capitalising on some of these opportunities. They've caught themselves inside the 2 on a couple of occasions, and a lot of wayward shots, especially in the first half. So if they can dial in their accuracy, I think we'll start to see that score count rise quite considerably. It's Matty Burns, one of the fastest players in the competition, manages to get the ball, and it's back to Jared Gilchrist.
Hayden Moller coming far out of the cage. And an exclusion on number 4, McKell. And he'll be quickly subbed out.
Yeah, that's McKell's 3rd, so he's gone for the game. Kari has a lovely shot off the hand, straight down the line. No wasting time there from the big Canadian. He sees a giant hole and buries the ball. It was a tough one from McKell. He did get caught behind. Angus Lambie is a big, strong handful. Paris Olympian, and it's the way that the referees have been instructed to interpret the rules. You caught behind, whereas once upon a time you might have been able to wrestle for a little bit. It's straight to the naughty quarter, so McKell will spend the rest of the game on the bench as Joksimovic bobbles to himself. Pressed quite well by Jared Gilchrist, and the foul. And Joksimovic called for not playing the ball there. That's a pretty rudimentary mistake for such a talented player, but a relatively new rule came into effect about 2.5 years ago. Basically, after a foul, you have to shoot, pass, or play it to yourself immediately. You can't hold it before. And that's another great 5-metre earned there by Angus Lambie. The Cronulla bench not happy. They're saying he's gone all over the top of Brankovic, but at the end of the day, the ball came in. And Angus Lambie, who's been a big, strong, aggressive young player for a little while, is
And a yellow card thrown.
yeah, it looks like a yellow card to the Cronulla bench, possibly against the coach. As Matt Burns will step up to take this. He scored 10 goals against Cronulla on Friday night, 6 of which were from penalties, so he'll be feeling pretty confident with himself. And you can see why, as that goes straight into the back of the net.
And as you were talking about earlier, Nick, we were hoping this Magpie team would be able to come forward and capitalize on a lot of the Sharks are making, just like that one. Just not popping the ball in the air leads to a goal for the Magpies. And they're already up 2 after just under a minute of play time in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and Cronulla have had to adjust their attack a fair bit after the first quarter. They got a lot of offensive calls against them. Their smaller boys trying to drive, and that's an excellent steal by Jared Gilchrist there against Joksimovic. He'll be pretty disappointed with that. But amazing play by Gilly. He's been around for a long time. His first playbook was written on papyrus, and yet he's still here playing in the highest competition in Australia. As Bakari is waiting for Lambie. Right, pretty good position on Brankovic, but manages to cop one to the face, and so it's an automatic turnover. I guess Levy really improved a lot over the last couple of years. He's had a bit of a stint playing overseas. He's always been strong and powerful, but he's lacked a little bit of grace, and it's good to see that he's found the grace that he needed. As Cronulla looking to drive with a nice post up by Chaz Coote on Burns here. If they can get the ball in, there'll be a bit of an exclusion trouble for Burns. He goes straight turn, all down to Holden, who slots it. So the Cronulla captain, former Wests, former Cronulla junior, puts it in the top corner, and he'll be really happy with that. He's not really known for his shooting, very much a niggly driver, counter-attack support player, and so being able to score that at the time that his team needs it most will be a breath of fresh air for the Cronulla bench. So we're back within a goal. Cronulla 8, Magpies 9. West were leading for pretty much most of the first half before Cronulla managed to sneak back into a 2-goal lead. That's another excellent shot off the hand from Bakari. Somewhat average pass from Power, but Bakari is a shorter, stockier man, didn't need to come out of the water, and he did a great job catching it, laying back, wrapping around himself.
Yeah, it seems like nobody in the pool even saw that shot coming.
One of my favourite goals, good cross pass, shot down the line, and that's the second that Bakari scored in a row, taking the Magpies lead to 2 goals. Just waiting for Cronulla subs to get sorted out. Rex Blasey having a breath. As Padua takes in Bakari to the centre forward. Danny Kerr looking to drive a little bit on Angus Lambie. Moves it over to Holden. Back to Danny Kerr. Holden's thrown another high ball. His pass has been a little bit off today. As Kerr passes out to Joksimovic, who manages to feed it to Poot, but an excellent crash back. And a fair bit of a how's your dog conversation going on. Angus Lambie, Chaz Poot, Matt Burns, all Australian Sharks teammates, joined in by their North American friends Bakari and Padua. Not really sure what's going on there. Once again, most of it seemed to be underwater, but Lambie did launch out of the water like a big orca at the end, connecting with Poot. And referee Hodges calls for the ball. Looks like he might be going to the pocket here. Oh, referees are mic'd up, I forgot that. So him and Liam Island are having a bit of a Skype conversation with one another. Just seeing what you saw. Okay, we've got rolled 13 for West, which is Angus Lambie, and 11 for Chaz Poot for Cronulla, and Tyler Padua for Cronulla also rolled. So that's 2 down for the Cronulla Sharks. And Coach Zerkovic asking for clarity around what's happened here.
A little confusing why Tyler Padua was kicked out here. He seemed to be just trying to calm the player down and intervene.
Yeah, we unfortunately aren't mic'd up with the refs, so we can't hear what's being said to the Cronulla coach. It did look like it was a little bit too much argy-bargy and love between Lambie and Poot, and possibly Padua coming in to interject. The referees have seen that as unnecessary. There were 2 other West players there with Bakari and Burns. So we anticipate that that's what the Cronulla bench is questioning. But as the great Tony Tyke Colson used to say to us, you're never going to change a ref's opinion with an argument. It's just best to get on with it. So, oh, there we go. That is possibly the best example of the commentator's curse I've ever seen. After saying You can never change a referee's mind. Matt Burns is sent to the sideline for the rest of the match too. So I think that's the heavens way of saying I need to just keep my mouth shut for the rest of the game.
Yeah, for the women's game too. Let's just stop talking.
So from the looks of things, we've gone from fast fives and we've got a quick match of Bundina Beach Water Polo 4s about to go on. West have got 4 players on, Cronulla 4. Cronulla coach Sirkovic coming up to have another conversation with Hodges, saying that Bakari was actually the instigator of everything. Time will tell. The game has been recorded. Water Polo Australia's got a pretty established tribunal system, and a lot of work's gone into that from several key staff and volunteers across the country. So we'll see what is made of that over the coming days. It looks like a very skinny pool. This is like Cronulla men's 4th grade training session. Not enough to field a team on either side. As we get underway, hopefully soon, with 5 minutes 38 to go in the 4th quarter. And Lulu, I was late home yesterday, much to my wife's dismay. I promised I'd help with our little one because there was 2 red cards in the Cronulla versus Hunter match. And by my count, that's 4 today, so...
Yeah, they're just doubling it. Yeah, maybe next weekend we'll see 6. You know, I've never seen a game where both teams are playing 4-on-4. It's a tight game, some of the top teams in the whole country, so we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, I think this is really going to help West Magpies here. They've got the bigger bodies, some extremely handy centre forwards. And with so few people on the field, it means that West can play a lot more space. You can see Nate Cower, all 316 kilos on centre forward there. Even though Rade Joksimovic has mashed up, it's a handful himself. You anticipate that they'll be looking to move the ball around. Kari and Garrett Gilchrist likely to work it, and they look to feed the centre forward. So Cronulla will either be forced to play a press and hope Joksimovic can do enough for Hayden Moller to get out, or they're going to have to sit back and encourage that shot. However, Bakari has scored 2 lovely ones off the hand over the last 2 attacks. Seems like we're just waiting for the table to play catch up. That's a lot of scribing for veteran volunteer Helen Hamilton Foster over there. She's run out of ink in the biro. They've had to replace a pen. Print off a couple more reams of paper, and it looks like we're all caught up as the ball's thrown back in.
So those of you just tuning in, we've just had 2 red cards on each team. So for the next 4 minutes, we'll be playing 4-on-4. Should be a fun game. Might take you back to your 10 and under, 12 and under days. And off we go. 5 minutes, 30 seconds left to play in this game. Scores 8-10 for the Magpies.
You can see here, West playing really wide attack. Ethan Payne having to sit out. Easy exclusion there as they feed the ball to Power. So this will be a 4-on-3 attack. This is a training drill that you do pre-season, just to get the ball and the coordination moving. Bakari tests his luck again on that nice outside off-the-hand shot. But love the block. I'm not sure if that was Kerr or Waller, but they'll be happy with that. And from the looks of things, it's all even again.
Oh. Not sure how that works. Usually when there's some red cards, maybe it was just 1 red card per team and then 2 exclusions on either end. Or 1 exclusion on either end. So those exclusions are all back in. And we're back 5-on-5, or 6-on-6. A long shot from outside by Joksimovic, and that's going to go down in the goalie's hands.
Yeah, they run out of time there for Cronulla Sharks. Joksimovic, I think it may be better to have a crack, but not at all. But he's left his team a little bit short indeed. It's Palazzi who was driving. It's been turned, but it looks like it's all caught up now. The ball goes down top of the tower, moves it down to Bakari. Bakari winds up again.
Nice block.
Looks like he's losing a quite comfortably by Holden there, and Cronulla looking to push the attack. You can see in the middle of the pool there, a few players getting caught up. Joksimovic in a tangle with Rowe. Referees were calling that an exclusion earlier on in the game, but nothing there, as Cronulla looking to get a centre forward.
And Cronulla might struggle in these next few minutes without Tyler in the pool, who's been an excellent asset as a centre this game.
Yeah, you can see Danny Kerr getting caught there, a bit tough, clock winding down, no centre forward. Blasi doing his best to drive in, but one of the small players for Cronulla not able to get position on Lewis Putt. And so West move this counter attack, hit from behind by Kerr. Rowe earns himself an exclusion, and coach Tim Reeks for West calling a timeout. I said yesterday, Lulu, that the match between Cronulla and the Hurricanes was probably one of the longest, but with the amount of stop-starts, cards, delays and timeouts today, this might take the cake.
Yeah, we're getting pretty close to it. Stick around after this game. We have our women's AWO teams playing. The Cronulla team and the Magpies. They'll be starting off at 1:30.
Yeah, Cronulla women really happy to have their two Australian representatives, Claire Durston and Danny Jakovic, in the pool this round. It makes it tough when stinger duties come into play and they're travelling. With the Cronulla team losing some of their most reliable players, they managed to get a victory against the West Magpies women's team on Friday night. I actually wonder if they're the Kilowabs. I always get confused. UNSW West. The All Magpies and Kilowabs. We'll clarify that in the break.
Once again, the wind really picking up here. We'll see if that has any effect on these players.
Yeah, so we've got a strong southerly coming through now, which means it's a tailwind for the West men's team as they set up their extra man, moving it deep wind to Jared Gilchrist, who passes it back around in eighth power. Back to Bakari, winds up, has to move it back to Gilchrist. Nice post pop there for Lewis Putt.
And that'll give the Magpies a pretty comfortable lead with 3.5 minutes left in the game. Definitely still time for the Sharks to come back.
What was really noticeable then was not only the excellent ball movement, but the West players offsetting, causing the Cronulla players to get caught out of position. It's one thing to move the ball, but you've also got to move the defender, and you can see the experience coming through for West there as Cronulla will look back to try and claw down this attack and eat back into the deficit that they currently face, 11 goals to 8. Joksimovic wrapping around. He'll sit up and probably back himself here. Throws a lob. I'd easily eaten up my Hedges. Blasi looks to steal it, but the new interpretation that came out about 3 years ago is my hat goes blowing off and this gigantic southerly all the way into the kids' playground behind me. It means that there's pretty much no ability to touch the goalkeepers. So West are now in a strong position again. And well, there was an excellent crash back from me. Payne to steal that ball.
And you can't see it from here, but the Sharks bench currently has one sub remaining. Who sits in the water, that's Cole Phillips.
Yeah, Cronulla electing to cap up two goalkeepers today, so with the 2 red cards and the foul trouble for Mikel, not a lot to support, but that's an excellent drive from Captain Reece Holden there and a lovely pass over the top. Did well to turn what looks like row for Wests. And that's going to be a 5 metre 8 days of the week. So Joksimovic come up. It's quite an animated character when things are going well and when they're not going well and when nothing's happening. So I'm keen to see how he responds after this shot.
Well said.
And a lovely goal there.
And I've yet to see him miss one of those.
Yeah, he's got a rapid shot. Some of the goals he scored yesterday off the hand from out top were very intimidating. And he claws down that lead. West Magpies 11, Cronulla Sharks 9.
That'll be an exclusion on number 12, Palazzi.
Yeah, it looks like Palazzi's been rolled there for, I think what's now deemed as an aggressive foul. Unnecessarily heavy. There was 2 hands. Kari is now earning another midfield kick out against Reece Holden, so temper's well and truly frayed here as West's unable to convert on that extra man, and now Cronulla in a lovely counter-attack position. Unfortunately, Hayne not able to convert, but lovely job attacking Hedges, who drags the ball under, feeling the pressure and earning the penalty. Lulu, once again, not minutes after I said there's no point attacking the goalkeeper, Ethan Payne proves me wrong, earning Joksimovic yet another free shot. I have to say, I'm either really attuned to this game or I have no idea what's going on as Joksimovic winds up and buries it straight past Hedges, who dives the wrong way. And Joksimovic says something friendly just to encourage him better next time.
Sure, it was friendly.
So there we go, we're back to 1 goal deficit. West's up 11 goals to 10 with just over 2 minutes to go in the fourth quarter.
And Joksimovic sitting comfortable with 5 goals of Cronulla's 10.
Counter-attack break here if they can capitalise on it, with Bakari caught in back play. By choosing to slow it down, it's Max Churchard, ball down deep to Brankovic, who'll be looking at the top. Back to Churchard, feeds it to Joksimovic. There's no centre forward at the moment, with Cole Phillips trying to drive in on Nathan Power.
And just like that, Joksimovic ties the game back up. You don't see that very often. Coming back from a 3-goal deficit just 1 minute ago.
Yeah, it was like someone stuck tacks on the seats of the spectators. Everyone was up cheering. A lot of noise. And really, really nice control there from the Cronulla team. Got lost position a little bit, but didn't panic. Goes to move it back down to their sharpshooter from out top. But I didn't think that it was 12-11, but it must be 11 all. With just over a minute worth to go. Phillips caught behind Bakari there. So he's sent out. And West calling a timeout. Kari breathing pretty heavily, like he's been watching an episode of Cops. And Coach Tim Reeves for the Magpies calling his troops in for what you would assume will be one last set play. An interesting time for a coach here, Lulu. Even up, West in attack. Assume that they'll score if they do within the first 10 to 15 seconds. So that leaves us 2 attacks to go. Means if Cronulla are able to score, West will get another bite at the cherry, and if not, they'll have control. What are you talking to you boys about here?
I mean, it seems like all these players are definitely veterans. They know what they're doing. I'm sure they're not nervous in this type of situation. They've been in it a million times, so I'm sure they know exactly what to do. They'll take their time, use the clock, and look for the best shot. But Cronulla's defense has been doing well all night, so I wouldn't be surprised if they get a big stop here.
Yeah, Cronulla have definitely improved with their down the line blocking in the last couple of games. It's been some nice blocks from Reece Holden, Danny Kerr, Ethan Payne tonight. They'll be looking to help out goalkeeper Hayden Moller. What will hopefully be a shutout extra D for the Sharks here as they foul and offsets, brings on Bakari, crosses it down to Rowe. And I'm not sure if that was an average shot or a really good pass to Drew McJanet, but he manages to tap it in. A little bit of ping pong there from some of the defenders, back and forth, but McJanet on his way with the goal, takes it up. 1 goal with 59 seconds to go in the last quarter.
Yeah, in a case like that, you kind of just got to rely on luck. You got lucky, he tipped that one right past Hayden Mulla. He's disappointed with that one, but they still got a minute to play and some time to tie this game back up.
McJanet, former Sydney University student, moving to West this year to join his brother. Handy addition for the West team. As Reece Holden sits up out top, passes it to Brankovic. There's a lot of movement from Cronulla, some good drives. Ethan Payne looking to get himself to the centre forward. And Joksimovic has got a bit of front water if they can get the ball deep.
And Joksimovic getting the rebound on that shot that came far outside. And that's an exclusion on number 10 putt.
So interesting call there. Joksimovic is chatting to the referee, thinking he might have earned a penalty, but referee Hodges saying he was outside the 2 metres, so that red line on the rope suggesting he was too far out, which results in an exclusion, not a penalty. So the Cronulla bench has called a timeout, and there'll be one last conversation for the men's team. Extra man has definitely not been one of their strong points over the last couple of games that we've been across Lulu. A few timeouts called yesterday to no avail for the Sharks. So with 32 seconds and down 1 goal, I'll definitely be wanting to make sure that these words from Coach Becky count.
Yeah, I'm guessing on this possession, I don't know what you're thinking, Nick, but I'm guessing they'll try to use this whole clock. So if they can get their shot off late in the clock, it'll give the Magpies very little time to come back and try to score themselves.
Yeah, the last good extra man play they had was when they opened up the 3 posts. So that's the right-hand post if you're looking at the goals, and brought on Big Padua, but he's out for the game with basically 3/4 of both teams. So the Sharks are going to have to look on and work something else. You'd assume that they'll be maybe relying on Joksimovic, who's already scored 6 this game. And all of that will be dependent on good ball control, nice passes.
Here we go, 32 seconds on the clock.
Ball down to Brankovic on the win as they offset. Ball back out to Phillips. Phillips looks to move it down, passes it over the top to Holden, but tipped off a little bit there by Gilchrist. Extremely lucky, Ethan Payne managing to get the ball back. And that was an excellent play by the Sharks, but the clock had gone, shot clock running out, probably about 1.5 seconds before they got the ball to Churchard. So,
And once again, that could have been something that the Sharks just forgot about because that was a rebounded pass. They only had 18 seconds on the clock rather than the usual 30. And that'll bring us to the end of the game. The Cronulla Sharks 11, Magpies 12.
yeah, it was an exciting game for everyone here. A lot of fouls, a lot of penalties, a couple of red cards. Some good goals, but really good defence, considering that these teams had 40 goals between them on their game earlier this week.
And coming up next, starting at 1:30, we'll have the women's AWL teams matching up. And you'll have Lulu Gaither, Nick Watkins here for that game as well.
Thanks for joining in. We'll see you on the other stream for the women's match in about 15 minutes.